Hello, welcome back to Foos Entertainment for our next review of the DC. Wow, how did I do that? Next review of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. First, I will apologize. I was going to watch Captain Marvel this weekend, but didn't quite work out that way. Too much to do. So let's just go ahead and talk about this first movie. I will eventually get to Captain Marvel probably next weekend. Unless, of course, it's out of print, then I guess we're just going to have to wait for that one. But that one's not really that significant to the entire grand scheme of things. But I will eventually do it for continuity purposes, and I want to watch every Marvel movie, so somehow I will see that movie and review it. I'll try my hardest to get that done. If it doesn't get done, sorry. But to move on, tonight's review, although I did watch this movie last night, took all day to get it done because there's so much stuff to do today. That would be 2012's The Avengers, which ends Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I saw this movie in theaters. It's one of the few I've seen in theaters. I haven't seen every one of these movies in theaters, but I saw this one. I believe I saw it in 3D in theaters as well. Now, I did get it on 3D originally, before that dark part of recent years where I, had that event to happen. Which I'm not going to bring that up anymore after this point, because I'm tired of bringing it up. So let's say I used to have the 3D version. And I can say at home, the 3D did not play out really all that good at all. But in my opinion, even in theaters, this 3D version of the movie was really lame. Since we're going from a digital 3D instead of a real 3D or IMAX 3D, which is what they usually use in these movies. So this is kind of like Thor in that regard. Only, believe it or not, Thor is pretty lame in 3D, but at least you could tell it had 3D. In terms of the Avengers, there's only like maybe a couple of little scenes in the entire movie that actually used 3D. Which was a little bit of a shame. Now let's go on to the synopsis of the movie. It does take place 1 year after the events of Thor. From 2011. And this film definitely does have a lot to offer. Just checking here real quick to make sure it's 2011. Sorry, 2012 on this movie. I believe it is. Where's it? Yeah, 2012. I was writing such small print on these things. But yeah, 2012. And it opens up pretty much with everything kind of coming together. So every movie relates to this movie in a way, even from the very beginning of the film. We see S.H.I.E.L.D. in some of our beloved characters. The older scientist, not her character, but the other older scientist in the movie Thor, experimenting with the Tesseract, which is the energy-powered source jewel that Red Skull was obsessed with in Captain America: The First Avenger. So yeah, they've had that all this time. They're trying to use it to make a whole new power source, although the real truth is they're trying to use it to weaponize unstoppable, unbeatable weapons with S.H.I.E.L.D. And well, things go wrong when the Tesseract does not turn itself off. It turns itself on, although it's not being controlled by us, it's somehow controlling itself. So they evacuate the base of operations, and then a portal opens up, a wormhole, and Loki comes through it. So yeah, he's actually alive. He did not die. Well, he was believed to be dead. And basically, he sheds terror in this mist and steals the Tesseract from Director Fury and brainwashes Hawkeye, as well as a few other operatives and scientists, including our beloved scientist from Thor, into pretty much obedient zombies. I think that's the easiest way to kind of put it. And of course, the building explodes on itself. And that's when Nick Fury goes ahead and puts out the alert to go ahead and find all of our heroes and bring them together, forming the team, the Avengers. Of course, Black Widow's already been a member of S.H.I.E.L.D., so she already follows just by default. It does take a little persuading to get Banner. He was not played by Edward Norton in this in the rest of these movies. I always forget his last name. That's why I never really mention his name, because I always forget his last name for some odd reason. Great actor, but I always forget his last name. But Brad, let's call him Brad. That's his first name. He does a better job playing the Hulk and Bruce Banner, in my opinion, than Edward Norton. Although it is kind of interesting to say that, because Edward Norton could have done a great job in all these movies, but I can understand why he wasn't in them. Edward Norton's one of those narcissistic actors out there. He thinks he's better than everybody else, and that's why nobody wants to work with him. That's why it's hard for him to get work. So shame on you, Edward Norton. You made the biggest mistake of your life by trying to control things, making the Incredible Hulk, because he could have been in all of these movies. And of course, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. Thor comes later in the movie, of course. He don't come right off the bat. Basically, their goal is to try to retrieve the Tesseract. And of course, Banner and Stark suspect Nick Fury is pulling some sort of strings and some sort of controversy going on. And of course, Rogers finds out, Captain America does find out, that, yeah, the world hasn't really changed. You guys are just caring about who has the biggest gun and all that stuff. Meanwhile, they do capture Loki, and Loki agitates everybody, and that eventually leads to the Hulk coming out and wreaking havoc and destroying this flying submarine that S.H.I.E.L.D. has. Yeah, you heard me correctly. And it's actually a I wouldn't say it's called a flying submarine. Submarine is a part of it, but I would say it's actually a flying military base. Yeah, crazy, huh? Flying military base. That's kind of cool. And of course, oh, hell breaks loose on all that, and the team gets split up. And then, of course, they all have to come back together after the death of Agent Coulson, who we have come to kind of love and appreciate throughout these movies, with him doing, of course, cameos in Iron Man 2 and Thor. We kind of like this guy. He might have been in the first Iron Man as well, but I don't think so, though. I don't think it was in that one. I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. was introduced till part 2. But, yeah, be a beloved character, and he dies. But he always has to have a comic relief. I mean, like, I really love his comic relief. It's like, do you like this gun? We made it. Especially for you. Even I don't know what it does. Want to find out? And then, of course, after Loki stabs him with the scepter, spear or whatever, he does shoot him. It's like, oh, so that's what it does. So yeah, there's a little comic relief in this movie, which I kind of like. And then, of course, Hawkeye gets his senses back to normal through what's known as cognitive recalibration. and basically joins the team, and they go after Loki. And what happens is we get a alien invasion. Of course, no one really knows about Thanos at this point, but he's actually behind all of it, of course. We do get a glimpse of Thanos in the post-credit sequence. Because the Quarry, the alien army that Loki's commanding, is actually his. And of course, they fight off all of it, and the government sends a missile to destroy all of New York. And so Iron Man goes ahead and gets the missile going into the wormhole portal to where the invading force is coming from, and blows it up. He comes back, of course. And all is well. And the Avengers, of course, go into hiding. And that's pretty much the plot of the movie. The post-credit sequence does show Thanos smiling at us, but that's about it. At this point in time, he's not nearly as cool looking as he does look these days, of course. This is the first time we see Thanos. Now, audio and video quality. Very interesting, the video in a small way. The video in this one is not the traditional 235, 240 by 1 wide cinematic frame, which all these movies have had up to this point. This film actually is in 185 by 1 widescreen, which I find is very interesting. There's only 2 movies in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe that actually are in 185 by 1 wide. And this happens to be one of them. The other one, of course, being Ant-Man. That went out at a later time, obviously. And, yeah, it was very cool. This one is much brighter than Thor and Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk. All the previous films have been quite dark compared to this one. This one is much, much brighter, which I definitely enjoy. Of course, Captain America was a little bit bright too, but still had that sort of warm, grim-like look to it, which I actually liked. It really fit with that movie. This one just has much more brighter stuff in it. There's some darker sequences in the movie, yes, but there's some pretty good bright sequences. So they actually use all 3 color templates in this movie. You actually have cool, warm, and neutral color temperatures in this movie, which actually works. So I very much like that. And as for audio, the 7.1 DTS HD Master audio track is solid, rock solid in this movie. Very good directional effects, very good intensity. Is it the most intense one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far? No. I would say that definitely belongs to Captain America, the First Avenger. Or The Incredible Hulk. And I actually watched that one digital download, and it still had this intensity. But this one is very rock solid intense. There's a lot of good effects in it. And at some points, I would even say it's more intense, but not a constant throughout thing. My personal thoughts on this movie. Is it the greatest superhero movie of all time? Well, it's certainly one of them, so I will keep that to the side, carry it like a mathematical equation, and just carry the number. Kind of think of the Avengers as a number. Then I'll get for the rest of these movies, which I now own all of them, except for the Incredible Hulk on Blu-ray. That's the only one I don't own. So once I get for the rest of them, then I'll make my decision on if it's actually the best Marvel Cinematic Universe film of all time. I just, at that, do not think so. But I definitely enjoyed the movie. Well, that's all for the Avengers. I will see you guys next time for my review of Iron Man 3. And don't worry, I will eventually get to Captain Marvel at some point. And that will be available. Just if you want to do it in right timeline order, watch Captain Marvel's review after you watch Captain America: The First Avenger review. If you want to revisit all these reviews and watch them in timeline order. All right, well, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.